Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We're holding on top of Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph. To remind the Olam, we're talking about a fellow who's a Mitzayra. Or he thinks he's a Mitzayra, he's not even sure if he's a Mitzayra. He went to a Kayin, and the Kayin told him something, and he wasn't sure if the Kayin meant that he's a Mitzayra Musgar, a Mitzayra Mukhlat. Basically, it's not important for now, but he's doubting his status. Thank you. He's doubting his status. He doesn't know if he's a real Mitzayra or not. He forgot what the Kayin told him. So the Gemara says what you do is you bring a carbon and a jar of oil, and you stipulate, you say, if I'm a Mitzayra, my carbon is the Asha Mitzayra, and the oil is for the Mitzayra. If not, I'm giving them both as a Nadava. It's a Nadava. The difference between a Nadava and the Asham is kachim. You can only eat it for one day. And a Shlamim, a Nadava, you can eat it for 2 days. So the Gemara wants to bring a raya from here. The Shimon holds that you're allowed to limit food. It's not a problem of limiting kachim, bringing it to Beis Apsul, saying that, hey, instead of 2 days eating it for Shlamim, you're making it 1 day as an Asham. That's not an issue according to Reb Shimon. So what do? First, the guy has to bring this oil. The question is more, this is referring to the oil. It's more complicated. In step one is you bring the oil. He took the thing, made it into a 1. 2, you put the oil. You first have to do kmitza to the oil according to Taisus. So one of the Rishonim says, I forgot who, maybe the Rabbeinu Chanal here, says you freeze it. Okay, so the problem is, once you do kmitza, the problem is that you're missing oil, so you add oil. And you make it tnai, and then you do the sprinkle as if he's a Mitzayra. And then you have to, now the Gemara is going to ask, but what about the extra oil that you added? That came, step 3 comes after step 2. So there's no kmitza, the kmitza was in step 2, on the added little amount of oil that you added to the jar, you didn't do kmitza on it. So the Gemara says that you do pidyon, in step 5 you redeem it, and then you get to eat it. Ask the Gemara, Daf Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph. If we're looking at the steps here, 1, 2, 3, Bo'ekes Shirayim the boy melinu. Bo'iko hachpurta the coming to levei. Is that little bit amount of oil that you added and you didn't perform a kmitza to it. And if you don't do a kmitza, you're not allowed to eat it. The kmitza is the matter, as we call it. It allows you to eat it. When you go like this with your 3 fingers, right hand, like this, that allows you to eat it, but there's a little bit of oil there that didn't get a kmitza. So the Gemara, you're right, the pariklei. So what does the pariklei mean? You redeem it. So I have a question for you. How can you redeem this oil? Where is this oil? It's inside a klisharis. A klisharis, l'chayra, makes it kaddish on the spot. It makes it kedushas haguf. It's inherently kaddish. Not kedushas damim. It doesn't have monetary kedusha. It has kedushas haguf. Kedushas haguf you can't redeem. So for that, we need to see Rashi. Beautiful Rashi that tells us a massive chiddush. So if you just came for this, it's worth the chiddush here. Rashi says it's not like you think. Says Rashi, the klisharis emikachim elo midas. It's not just you put it into the klisharis, poof, magically becomes kadosh. You need das. The guy has to say, I want to make it kadosh, and he didn't. It's a tnai. If I'm a mitzayra kadosh, if I'm not a mitzayra, not. So he leaves it in a status of kedushas mamay. And he doesn't want it to be kaddish if he's not a mitzayra. So therefore, he can redeem it. As the Gemara, 3 lines from the top of Ayin Zayin on top, the park le'echa. Where exactly did he redeem it? If he did it inside the Azara, take a look at this little thing right over here. You have a kli, the kli sharas, in the Azara, full of oil, and then you added a little bit of oil to it. So what status is the oil in the kli sharas? It's kadosh. That's the Gemara. If you're going to redeem it with money, you're going to take the little amount, the extra. You're going to redeem that extra with money. So it becomes chulin. You're not allowed to bring chulin into the azara. And if you do it outside, then you took him. Then it becomes possible because you took the oil outside of the azara, outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Or you can't bring the oil outside of the Beis Hamikdash. So what do? It says Gemara Leilam Gavai. It's inside. He didn't bring chulin into the Beis Hamikdash. This vessel was full of oil in the Beis Hamikdash. He did a trick that he changed its status from Kaddish to chulin. So it happened to be in the Beis Hamikdash now. As the Gemara of Rabbi Shimon, it's not Rabbi Shimon. In general, how could I come up with this whole chap? That you bring the oil and you say, if I'm a Mitzayra, it's Kaddish. If I'm not a Mitzayra, then it's an Adava. You can't bring oil as an Adava according to Rabbi Shimon. Says the Gemara, Takuni Gavrishani. You could, in a situation where I want to help a guy come out of his status. He's hanging there. He doesn't know what to do. He's in a dilemma. He doesn't know. Sorry, so we help him out. Says Taisvas, he asks a question. What Idoraisa? Then you're not. If Reb Shimon says Midoraisa, you're not allowed to do it. So how does it work? Takuni Gavra doesn't help me if it's Idoraisa. You can't help an individual and be over it's a Idoraisa. He doesn't finish off, but obviously I think what he means to say is that it's not a Idoraisa. Reb Shimon just said you shouldn't bring oil to the Beis Hamikdash. Yosef Reb Chumi Kamei Deravina. V'Yosef Kamar Mishmei Deravuna Bet Achlifa. He said, "V'neima Osham Zeh Yashim Tali." That's the question. Let him bring one carbon. Instead of saying it's either a Asham or a Shlamim, say it's an Asham called a Asham Tali. It's a hanging Asham. Look at this Rashi. People would ask, what's up with the Asham Tali? I could bring Asham Tali for nothing? Says Rashi, yes. Kirbilaz Dama Bekrisis, where it says Daf Chafei, Misnadev Adam Asham Tali B'chol Yom. You could bring an Asham Tali every single day of your life. Shein L'cha Adam Shein Oimed B'Savik Chet. Every person has some Savik Chet every single day. And therefore, and then Rashi continues, and very important to us, says Rashi Givaldik. What did I gain by this? What did he gain? He gained that you don't have a shlamim. We want to say this one animal is either asham or shlamim. What's the difference? The problem is asham you can only eat one day, shlamim you can eat 2 days. But if you make it asham tali, they're both one day. It's an asham tali, you can only eat it one day. So you don't have maybe the whole, what's the issue? How could you say it's a shlamim and it's you eat it for 2 days, or maybe limit it to 1 day? At the end of the day, you're going to only be able to eat it for 1 day. That's limiting something you can eat for 2 days to 1 day, and that's also, that's maybe kachim the base of psul. Now that I'm saying, don't bring a asham, don't bring a shlamim, bring a asham tali. Asham tali is only 1 day to begin with, regardless whether it's the mitzayra or the asham tali. It's 1 day asham. It's 100% asham. It's asham tali. Yeah. What's asham tali? Asham tali is I'm bringing this animal, and I said it depends if I did an avera or not. If I did an avera, it goes for my avera, and why should I bring it? Because you make averas every day. You speak lashon hara, this, that. You make fun of the magachir, whatever. You have to bring a carbon, or it's made from mitzayra. So it's givaldik. It's the same exact carbon. Shmami no matana the poligale the Rebbe Eliezer Shimonu. So it must be that it's Reb Shimon that's arguing. The Omar is not in Moshem Tali. He says this all. He asks the question, why do you have to talk about an Asham and a Shlamim? He had in mind it's either this or that. Just say you had in mind that it's Asham Tali. Omar lei Torah. What's going to be with you? You have so much Torah. You're such a Talmud Chacham. Doesn't make sense to make such a simple mistake. You're supposedly a big Talmud Chacham. You're confusing the sheep with a ram. A sheep is less than a year old, and a ram is a year in a month. It's 2 different types of karbanas. How are you making such a mistake? A mitzayra brings under a year. A asham tali is a different type of carbon completely. You should have known that. I can't believe you messed up between a sheep and a ram. Says the Mishnah, we have limbs, the limb of a chatas with the limb of an oila. So let's think about it a second. Pause. An oila, everything goes on the mizbeach. All limbs go on the mizbeach. Chatas, no, they don't go on the mizbeach. Certain things go, the emurim go on the mizbeach. The rest go to the kohen. Are you permitted? Rabbi say, here's the question. Are you permitted stam? You have a chatas. The kohen is not in the mood of eating the steak. Are you permitted to put the meat on top of the mizbeach? Burn it. Be makriv it. Absolutely not. You're not allowed to. The question is, now I have a mix-up. I have steaks of chatas, steaks of oila, and they're all in one pile. What do I do now? Not to put it on the mizbeach, so now the oila is missing out. To put it on the mizbeach, I'm not allowed to because it's the chatas. What do you do? So we have a machlokes. Relez oimer, yitin lamalo. Not a problem. Put it on the mizbeach. And we have a trick we're going to be using for the rest of the sugya. V'roya ani is besar achatas milamalo kilu heinetzim. We actually had it yesterday in the video as well, where the guy, you've seen the video, he pours water. When he's pouring the oil, he pretends in his mind that it's water, that it's wood. Rashi says it's water, right? The last Rashi you pointed out. Over here, we're going to do the same thing. He's going to put the chatas meat on the mizbeach. He's going to put the oil. The oil for sure belongs on the mizbeach. But the chatas meat, wherever you are in this plate, whatever, I'm flipping you into wood to help the fire. You're not a carbon, you're wood. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to wait until there's an overnight, they become noisar. My time is the Rebbe Eliezer. What's Rebbe Eliezer's reasoning over here? Why does Rebbe Eliezer say you could put it on the mizbeach and pretend it's wood? Oh my crow! For this we must see these psukim. Very, very important to see this. Two psukim over here. We're talking about bikurim. You bring bikurim. What do you do with bikurim? You bring it. You go to the mizbeach. You do hagosha to the mizbeach. You touch the mizbeach with it. But the Torah says ki chol sa'or v'chol devash. What's sa'or, Rabbi Yisai, with a sin? Sa'or, leaven, like bread. And now I put bread on the mizbeach. V'chol devash, honey. What does honey mean? You can't put honey on the mizbeach. It means like date honey. It really means fruit. Fruit. Can't put fruit on the mizbeach. Can't bring, Hashem, I want to bring you a basket of fruit. That doesn't work. But what does the next pasuk say? This is super important for the sugya. It's not so clear when you read the words here. Is referring to something else completely. It's referring to leftover carbon. We actually touched upon it the other day. When you put something on the mizbeach, whatever's left over, it's too late. It gets locked out. I put this on, great. But I can't come 10 minutes later, I forgot the leg, let me put that on. Too late. So says the Gemara, the leftover, we're talking about Pasuk Beis now. The leftover of the carbon, I cannot put it on as a carbon. Correct? The Torah says don't put it on the mizbeach. Here, but no, don't bring it to Hashem. Don't say, Hashem, here I brought you another steak. But you could say, I'm not bringing Hashem a steak, I'm bringing firewood. That you could do. Rabbanon, mid Rachmano Isam. Isam is referring to Pasuk Yud Aleph, ki chol sa'or v'chol dvash. Those two, Isamu di atamala, avatamala shemeitzim. Those two, Rabbi Isa, Yud Aleph, Pasuk Yud Aleph, those two you can't bring on for Reach and Choyach, but you're allowed to bring them on as firewood. I could bring a platter of fruit that my friend gave me for Shabbos. I could bring it as firewood, but not as a carbon, but not shiori carbon, but not leftover carbonos. You see why it's a little tricky, the sugya? Because it doesn't mention the shiori carbon, but that's the nakuda here. The chap over here is to understand we're talking about the remnants of the carbon. You can't bring the leftover carbon, even for what? Even as eitzim. That's the nakuda here. The Rabbanan say you could bring, you're right, there's a concept called flipping honey into wood, but that's only honey. It's only fruit. It doesn't apply to animals. You can't make it a chatos into a firewood. You can make bread and fruit. Those are the two things that you can flip into firewood. That's it. And in Mela, we have a machlokes in the Mishnah. I have chatos that got mixed up with oila. Rebbe Eliezer says I could put the chatas on as firewood because the Torah says I could put anything as firewood. Chacham say no, it's limited to two things. Rebbe Eliezer, so this is a side halacha. No, I use the word oisam, but for something completely different. that the ramp going up to the Mizbeach will give it the halachas of Mizbeach. That's only for Sa'ar and Dvash. If you put it on the ramp, you're over. But anything else, the ramp is not. It's not connected. It's separate. It's the ramp to the Mizbeach. It's not the actual Mizbeach. Now, when it comes to Karbanos, no, I could learn this halacha of the ramp. I could also learn from the word Oisam. Not only that it's wood, that Sa'ar and Dvash is wood, but also Sa'ar and Dvash is a ramp. The ramp works for the Sa'ar and Dvash and not for anything else. Says the Gemara, our Mishnah, and in fact the following Mishnah also are not like this Tana. The Sanya, Omer Rabbi Yehuda le'nechliku Rabbi Eliezer v'chacham al every chatos shenisar bevarei oila shikru. Everything we just read, says Rabbi Yehuda, I argue with. There is no machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Chachamim if our case, what was our case? Shlamim or oila and chatos got mixed up. Says Rabbi Yehuda, I disagree. There's no machlokes. Everybody agrees, put it on the Mizbeach. He argues with the Mishnah straight out. Omer Rabbi Yehuda le'nechliku Rabbi Eliezer v'chacham al every chatos shenisar bevarei oila shikru. And they also don't argue b'revev and nirva shelo yikru. If you have an animal that was involved in an isser, you don't put it on the mizbeach. Amen nechleku. Al evrei oila tmima shenisar be'evrei balas smoke, which is the next Mishnah. He argues on the next Mishnah also. Because I'll remind you the next Mishnah. We learned the next Mishnah already. If you have a mix-up in an oila, you have a balmum oila, an oila that has a terrible blemish, and an oila that's perfect, and they get mixed up, what do? So he's saying there's a machlokes, you could just go ahead and put it on and pretend it's firewood. The one that has a blemish is firewood. But we learned only if you put on one head could you continue putting on the rest of the heads. Because we're going to assume that the head that you put on is the blemished one. That's how we learned it. And that's what it says in our Mishnah on Nomad Beis. But Rabbi Yehuda says no. You can lechatchila put it on. Forget if you after the fact put it on, we're going to assume that was the one. No, forget about after the fact. Lechatchila, take the blemished oila. You don't know that it's blemished. Put it on just in case it's blemished. It's firewood. I pretend it is firewood. And Chacham say, do not put it on. You're telling me that what, according to Rabbi, even Rabbi Eliezer agrees that if the animals involved in bestiality cannot go on the mizbeach, why? It's not loichazu. Balmum not a loichazu. Is there a difference between a balmum and a revev and nirva? To me, what?
It's more than most. It's something which is not.
That's what I thought also. I was like, when I learned that, I was like, wait a minute, this is disgusting. But you know what? At the end of the day, a balmum is also a mos. The Gemara is going to say mefurish, the word mos on a balmum. So I'll tell you, the one thing I was able to come up with a little bit is that a revev and nirva, you want to make a nafkemina. Revev and nirva, there's no healing. Once it was nirva, forget it. For the rest of his life, it's a nirva. Balmum, it could heal. You have a mum right now that is also to go on the mizbeach, but it could heal technically. So we'll see. Depends what it is. Okay, but at the most. Yeah, I guess. Hold on. Let's just read this. Ein Zayin on the base. Says the Gemara, Omer Avhuno, B'dukin Shabayim. We're talking about a cataract. V'aliv the Rekiva, the Omar, Imol lo yerdu. It's not a real mum of here. Do I have this? No. Nothing on B'dukin Shabayim. Okay. So, what's the Dugim Shayim? What Dukin Shabbayin changed history for Klal Yisrael? The Beis Hamikdash, the whole, they brought a carbon. Yeah. But that's the idea. Yeah. We all remember the video, that the cataract is, if he goes onto the Mizbeach, you don't take it off. So the Gemara, Ein Madom Rabbi Kiva di Avad. Rabbi Kiva is only talking about in a situation when on the Mizbeach you don't have to take it off. He didn't say go ahead and put it on the Mizbeach. Omar Papa. Omar Papa, my skin can go in shoulder agabi kevesh. Says Rav Papa, we're talking about that it got onto the mamish like we were talking about before. It's on the ramp, and if it's on the ramp, you just move it over and you bring it to the Mizbeach. Yehachi asked the Gemara, this mix-up happened, it's on the ramp. Why do you have to say there's a mix-up between the balmum and this meat, the regular, even if it's all by itself, a balmum is on the ramp, you could put it on without a mix-up. Stop, balmum, you put it on the ramp, put it back onto the mizbeach. At the time of the Rebbe Lezer, miyad rachmana mum bam. You can't put it on the mizbeach. Because it says mefurish if it's by itself, mum bam udelo yiratzu, hayde taroivus yiratzu. Only if it's mixed into a regular oila could you go ahead and put it on the mizbeach, but if it's by itself, not. Rabbanon mum bam udelo yiratzu. I do learn something from the word mum bam, but something completely different. Mum bam udelo yiratzu. Ha'avar mumam yiratzu. I think it's a tremendous chiddush. You have an animal, you're not allowed to put it on the mizbeach. Nevertheless, if it heals, you could bring it on. There's no dichui over here. Rebbe Lezer, mibam bahem. Here's the pasuk real quickly. Himoshchasam bahem mum bam. It seems like a double lashon, so I have extra word. V'rabbanim bam bahem loy darshi. No, it's not extra for them, so you can't darshan everything. Says Gemara Yihachi Roya. Why do you have to pretend that this balmum is wood? I pretend. Oh, the balmum is wood. Harachmon achsherei. When the Torah says you're allowed to put it on the mizbeach, the Torah says you put it on the mizbeach. You don't have to think that it's wood. The Torah didn't tell you what to think. Put it on the mizbeach. So the Gemara, you're right, 100%. You don't. According to Rebbe Lezer, you don't have to think anything. According to me, I don't have to pretend that it's wood. Put it on the mizbeach as a balmum. Shouldn't you agree with me, Rabbanon? There's a trick. Even though, according to you, the Torah doesn't say you can put it on the mizbeach, but I have a trick. Have kavana that it's wood, and it'll turn into wood. Poof, it'll turn into wood. You already use that trick when you mix up chatos and oila. You pretend that the chatos is wood, and over there Rabbanan agree. So the Gemara Rabbanan hachim isi. You hear this lashon, Ariel? A balmum is mos. It's disgusting. Hasam, when there's a mix between a chatos and a oila, loy miisi. That's why you're allowed to put it on the mizbeach. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.